Hello everyone and welcome. If you're new here, welcome. Today we are going to be playing Seeress and we're going to be doing a full Seeress series. Now, since I've already beaten Niflheim with Seeress, I'm going to add all modifiers for this video and enjoy.
The fireball!
All right, welcome back to more Jotunslayer Hordes of Hel, and welcome to a new series. Yes, this isn't just gonna be one video; it's gonna be a whole series. So, the Seeress series, I guess you could say. Now, I have to address the elephant in the room, and I wish I noticed this before I activated all 6 of the modifiers on Niflheim. So let me just explain. So I had the impression of my last video that the modifiers actually made the game harder, right? It makes perfect sense to think of that because of my previous video, and if you haven't watched my last video, check it out. I highly recommend it. I am the world's first to beat Niflheim on Nightmare 10 with all 6 modifiers. So go ahead and check that one out if you haven't. But that wasn't really the case here. So Niflheim, there is a modifier that actually activating all 6 of them actually makes it a little bit easier and not harder. So this is why I'm gonna just break the ice. I won't really discuss this build and future notes that I am probably gonna just do a Seeress series that is gonna not have all modifiers, and we'll make a follow-up with all modifiers, or I guess you could say modifiers that actually make the game harder, not easier. So in Niflheim, there was a modifier called the Brave Chicken, and I'll show that on screen right now. And what this modifier does is you reduce the strength of all enemies, but your cowardness comes at a cost. Enemy damage is a takeaway 30%. The objective rewards is take away 50%. So that being said, I didn't feel right to just make a video like, hey guys, I just beat Niflheim with all modifiers. And someone in the comments be like, one of the modifiers is making it easier, right? And I didn't want to discuss a build because it felt like it wasn't really deserved, right? It's kind of like I'm riding a bike and I still have the training wheels on. Am I really that glamorous with the training wheels, right? I can perform cool tricks, but at the end of the day, I still have the training wheels. So that's how I'm seeing it. And I wish I knew this sooner because I already spent so much time editing this video, rehearsing it, all that. I even had a whole script ready for you guys, and luckily I went back and kind of reanalyzed everything, and I wish I read the modifiers before I just start clicking on them. But I had the impression of, oh, modifiers make the game harder. I was clearly wrong, and I take full responsibility of that. However, before you click away and you're like, oh, well, he's not discussing the build. This build is actually not that bad, and I won't really discuss it in details of why I did the things that I did or why I put points in that, blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, it's not perfect. and I started to realize that since it's not perfect, this gives me an actual opportunity to make a follow-up video of when I play Seeress and all the other maps on Nightmare 10, with or without the modifiers, and really to try to understand the character, because one, I relied too heavily on the Flame Sister, and I kind of reflexed on that, so I wanted to really challenge myself by making a forcing myself to learn a new character and master her as well. And everybody seemed to really enjoy the Seeress and been asking for it, so I thought this was, eventually I'll make a video like this. So, and not just one video. This is going to be a whole collection of series of the Seeress, right? So the next couple videos after this is just going to be Seeress. And then once I'm done with that, then I'll go ahead and play the other characters. But I think the goal for each series is going to be that I'm going to learn the character and I'm going to perform the Nightmare 10 runs. And then at the finale of the series, I am going to do the ultimate test and go to Niflheim on Nightmare 10 with all 6 modifiers. And double making sure that no modifier makes the game easier, right? And I feel like that's the goal. I am known to push the boundaries in this game, and I'm known to basically do what others are afraid to do, is going for these kind of high intensity runs. And I want my channel to reflect on that. People don't go to the Firebug channel to see easy content. They want to see the hardest difficulty be demolished. And as I just defeat it, right? People want to see that kind of intensity. Not just okay guys, here's another endless run. How long would I survive this time? And I'm not trying to poke fun of the other content creators. I just feel like it's just too safe. And I feel like endless content consistently just kind of gets boring over a while. Also, I realized that, yes, I also tried the endless runs, and I was about to make content of that too. But I realized during the time when I was making that Flame Sisters video that I had the perfect build in my head. I executed it really well with the endless run. Lasted up to 3 hours, believe it or not. Even that big slime thing was chasing me afterwards, right? And I was just on running it, which was quite funny and hilarious in my opinion. But what I end up realizing is that, yes, endless is like a ground. It's kind of like a training ground, and you can really just learn and experience different like builds. But it doesn't set you up correctly to Nightmare difficulty. So what I mean is that endless has a drawback, and that drawback is that since it doesn't have a set difficulty, it relies on being one normal difficulty, and then later on, depending on the curse that you choose, it makes it harder. But the problem is that since it's on normal, it takes quite some time to even have the same difficulty as Nightmare 10. That's why I don't use endless runs, because it's not the same kind of difficulty. And I noticed this when I was trying to do that Flame Sister, or my previous video, that I had the perfect build, and then I went to go execute it, and it didn't translate pretty well because I'm not fighting the same kind of enemy types. And in this, I can use 2 basics and kill an enemy. On a Nightmare 10 kind of difficulty, it takes up to 10. Or, 5 or 10 basic attacks to just kill one enemy. So there is a huge difference of that. And if you're relying on just endless mode to get the feel of the builds, you're not really learning or executing into the Nightmare 10 kind of area. So That's why I feel like when I have these kind of like a little bit of these modifiers that like the brave chicken, I feel like it's just not really idea to discuss a build, because am I really discussing a build and then you go to another map with a Nightmare 10 with all 6 modifiers active, that you realize that one build doesn't fit all, and it just gives you guys like the frustration of like, why is this not working? I thought this was the perfect build for Seeress. So I want to basically make a series that we can discuss in the, like a community or whatever, of my growing subscribers. And thank you again for supporting my channel. It's quite an achievement. I've almost hit 200 the time of this recording, and that's crazy. I remember the time that I was just 35 subscribers, and I was like, I don't think this is it. So I was gonna pull the plug and stop making YouTube content, but I just stuck around, and then here I am. And now I'm making like these really difficult videos, and I've really mastered the Jotunslayer game, and I can't thank you guys enough, because if I just never played this game, I don't think I would have continued my YouTube channel. So again, thank you for supports and all that. But moving on, I feel like the reason why people watch my channel is so they can get the right build, get the end game build. What's the best build, right? Well, I could watch someone else doing the endless run and survive like 3 hours, but then that gets boring. I want the raw content. I want a challenge. I want to push the boundaries and get out of the comfort zone, because comfort is the way to kill growth. If you're not growing, then you're not really succeeding in life, because you're just too comfortable. So pushing the boundaries is the way to go. So I've always looked at myself and challenged myself and do some research and be like, okay, I realize that nobody else is making Nightmare 10 content. When you type in Nightmare 10, it's mostly my kind of videos. And I think the reason why my channel blew up so much is because I'm producing videos that nobody else is producing right now. And I want that to be reflected. So when I make a video like this, and then I go back and look at the modifiers, that's when I realize, oh, one of the modifiers makes the game easier. So I'll take a note on myself, and I have it on my notepad or whatever, and always read the modifiers before I start clicking on it, each one of them. But that being said, the build isn't too bad, right? It works, and I can give you the reason and the rundown of it, but don't expect this to be the grand finale of the best Seeress build. This is what the series is going to be about. I'm going to actually discuss it with you guys on the comments. If there's no comments, then I'll just do my own thing, and then I'll do my own research, play more hours of the game, and then I'll do the final analysis into the Niflheim Nightmare 10 with all 6 modifiers. And on top of that, I could even make it even harder. So you think that the Flame Sister build from my previous video was like the elite, right? But I can even make it even harder than that. And I will not discuss it because I don't want anyone else to ruin that for me, but I'll just give you a hint that there is a certain god in the game that has a certain passive that makes the game even harder. So I'll let you guys figure that out in the comments below, and if someone discovers it, then I'll try to utilize that in the next video. But other than that, I would like to discuss this build on screen just a little bit, not in detail like how I usually make my videos, just a little bit. So since I've already played the Seeress, I actually know a little bit of her kit, just a little bit, but it's not perfected, right? And the build here is going to be a lot of freezes, right? So I have her first two class abilities. We have the Thorns and the other one, which I can't remember the name on top of my head right now, but I'll put it on screen. Anyways, the other one has a lot of perks. It doesn't do damage, but enemies that are frozen in that time zone little area and they're frozen there, they receive more damage, which makes it huge. On top of it, the little bubble that she creates is not the, don't make it like the mistaking of Njord's bubble, but the time little bubble that she makes, the class ability one. That one actually has a chance to reflect small projectiles, which is ideal in this area. Niflheim, or the first map, has a lot of skeletons that shoot arrows. I mean, as you can see on screen, there's tons of them. But the longer you play, the harder it gets because of those. It really makes it feel like a bullet hell. So that's why I chose those abilities. And on top of it, Seeress has a passive that every time someone's slow or cursed or I think frozen or shock or whatever, they receive more damage. So that's the idea. Next up is Scotty, putting 1 point of Scotty, get freeze. That's it. Self-explanatory. And then of course we got the local Ragnarok, right? The iconic, overpowered ability, which I think everybody knows by now what it does. So I won't go into details. But just think of it as a mini nuke, right? Every 30 seconds, a mini nuke. That's it. And then last is Njord's Bubble. So Njord's Bubble is really good here because, again, it has the same effect that every time you have it on, you receive less damage when you get hit with the bubble. And on top of it, the Njord's Bubble also has a chance to reflect small projectiles. But it's a small percentage, not a guarantee. So get that, clarified. So after discussing and really looking at this build, I realized that it has some flaws. So first flaw is that, yes, Njord's Bubble is good, but it doesn't do damage. And I also have a class ability that doesn't do damage. So I'm relying on 3 other abilities that are only doing damage, and that's not ideal for, especially for a Nightmare 10. So that's why I was like, okay, I realized the problem and I want to execute it. Top of it, since local Ragnarok is a long cooldown, I'm basically hindering myself with just 2 abilities that do damage. So I have my basics, I have the Thorns, and I have Scotty's Ice or Arctic Arrow. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, I only have those abilities. They're only doing the most damage most of the time. And then, of course, out of every 30 seconds when it's max ranked, local Ragnarok. And that's a flaw because relying on local Ragnarok way too often, I'm not really beating this. And on top of it, since I have the modifier Brave Chicken, I should have died a lot more times than here. So there's just some flaws in this build. That's why I didn't feel comfortable just like, hey guys, here is the best Seeress build. And then you go to a different map and you end up dying, right? So I want to make a series of the Seeress, and for each character to find the perfect build. So when we do finally get to the end game, then we can execute it. That, yes, this is going to be the perfect build for each character. And I think that would make my channel super unique, as everybody else is being safe by playing endless runs. And again, I don't want to say it like, you know, I'm bashing these other creators. It's just that I feel like since there's not a lot of content of this game, and when people make content, they play it too safe, and it kind of hurts the game even more. Because I do enjoy this game. I really do. I just wish that there was more boundaries to be pushed and to pushing out this kind of high intensity content. Make the game like a bullet hell. Make the game hard. It shouldn't be easy to complete this game. I know it's an indie game. I know there's not a huge community behind it, but this is part of my community now. And I want this game to succeed and grow, and I want this to be a next kind of like mainstream game, because this could have been something huge. And I hope people understand what I'm saying, because if there's just lots of content, it gets blurred into, oh, it's just a game that you just kind of like walk around in circles and kill shit. It's like, no, this game is complex, it's different, and it's unique, and there is some skill that has to be played behind it. Like, most people don't do the things that I do, and I'm not trying to boast myself or anything like, oh, I'm a god. Don't think of it like that. I was thinking it as more of like, there's a reason why people watch me. There's a reason why people come to my channel. And if I don't provide them the food that then they won't be eating, then that sucks. Right? It's like, hey, what's for dinner? Oh, here's some slop. It's like, what the fuck is this? Unsubscribe. But anyways, hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from this. I do apologize. I was not informed that one of the modifiers make the game easier. But that being said, subscribe, so the next video is gonna actually have me not yapping your ear off and actually give you actual content. And next video I will actually give you guys a suggestive build, and I will go on from there. But in the time being, I will end this video how it is, because it's getting close to the end. So thank you so much. If you did stick around and listen to me yap, thank you. You're the true subscriber or viewer. Thank you so much. Just if you want to have different build discussions, leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss out. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.